Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star, Jamie Noodles McLennan, and look who we have in studio. There he is, looking good too, Mark Giordano. What's up, Gio? How you doing, man?
I'm doing well,
Great to see you. Great to see you. Yeah. That's is that your ace suit?
Like what one of my ace suits on for you guys, first time in. So
I love it.
Figured I'd try and look as good as I could.
How did your suit game develop throughout your career?
Like
rookie compared to Norris season. Did you feel like you had to bring more to the table when you were really under the spotlight, or what?
Yeah, I think. Rookie season, I might have been wearing like some of my dad's old suits and baggy pants. And
Randy River, Jack Frazier.
Definitely not fitted. And then as I got older, started getting fitted suits, tighter pants, and nicer shoes. And then towards the end of my career, I actually had a nice suit deal with a company in Toronto here, nice. Tilly Monroe. And credit to them for all my suits. Now they dress me up nice.
I always find that funny when you see like flashbacks of kids when they come into the league and you could tell they've just got a suit right off the rack naturally, maybe don't have the money yet, not established. And then in their primes, they're just like decked out with ace suits.
Keep in mind, you started in Calgary. You had Daryl Sutter with the sweater vest on.
Right. Well, a lot of the coaches, they have brutal suit games.
Well,
like there are some coaches in the league, awful suit games.
I will say, the guy behind the bench in Toronto now, his suit game is a lot better. I don't know what.
Berube?
Oh. Like the suit he was wearing the other night, I'm like, that is not from Calahoo, Alberta.
Right.
That is, somebody's gotten to him.
That's a Toronto suit.
That's a Toronto suit, 100%.
I got fined, actually, one of my first years in the league for wearing, the guys didn't, I thought they were dress shoes, but the guys deemed that they weren't dress shoes, and they fined me $500 or something for it.
So your teammates did that?
My teammates are like, you cannot be wearing those shoes.
Unacceptable
shoes. And it was too late. I was on the road. I had no way to get back home and change them, so I took the fine.
Well, we were talking about Ovechkin. Ovi walking on the plane with like a Subway bag of chips. His hair's everywhere. I guess like no one's finding him in Washington. No one's going to say anything to him naturally. But the rules on the plane, like the fact that you guys are supposed to wear suits. Like, is that generally the case throughout the league, like in the NHL, that you're supposed to wear your suit even when you're on the plane?
It's changed.
It has? Okay, because I was of the impression that was the case back in the day. Like, you had to wear your suit all the time.
Yes, there was two rules. You don't take a dump on the plane unless you have to. And then the other one was, you got to be presentable.
Even on the plane.
You
There's
walk
no
on
cameras or anything. But that has changed. That's what you're telling us?
Yeah, it's transitioned into tracksuits for the most part, which is like, it just makes sense.
Yeah,
because you don't see anybody. You get on your own plane and then you get right to the hotel, and it's changed. But I remember, Noodles, I don't know if you remember, but we used to have to wear suits like even to dinner on the road.
Yeah,
like you couldn't leave the hotel without wearing a suit. Now you can wear nice jeans and a nice shirt, but before you'd have to wear a suit everywhere.
Right.
When you were on the road.
And was that like the owner or the GM that would mandate that?
I think it was the GM's decision, but it could get kind of dicey and grimy, right? If guys wore the same suit the whole trip, it was.
Well, there is a few pigs that we played with one suit for a 10-day trip, but for the most part, though, it was all about presenting yourself.
Right, of course.
Like you're representing the team. But I like the tracksuit thought process. Guys, back in the day, you wear your suit, you get on the plane, and guys are just stripping down anyways.
Yeah.
Because you're icing, you're doing whatever you got to do on the trip, especially after a game. So it does make sense to have the tracksuits. But on the road, you should be able to change into jeans. You should be able to look normal and casual, but you're right. It was when we played together. It was suits. You had to wear a suit.
Even you
go to a
dinner.
movie the night before the game. You're all a bunch of idiots sitting in suits.
See, that to me would have the reverse effect, where people would look at you and be like, "What are you doing in a suit?"
Yeah.
Like to your point, you're at a movie. It's like, we get it. You're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to wear a suit.
4:30 movie in Boston, and you're like in a suit.
Right. Exactly.
Before the meal.
You stick out, and like a guy like a superstar like Crosby or something. You don't want to get noticed, and all of a sudden you're in a suit. Someone's looking at you like, "Why are you wearing a suit?" And they
make you pick them off even easier, I would think.
You can thank COVID too, right? Because look at the NBA coaches used to have to wear suits every game, and now they're all in.
And they'll never go back. They'll never go back. Like we interviewed Nick Nurse. And I asked him about that, I think, by 21 or 22. So, like, what's the plan here? Because we understood it in the bubble. Everyone's kind of, it's a different world right now, and you're more comfortable. You can't leave. Everyone's doing the golf shirt thing. And Nick was adamant that he didn't want it to return.
Yeah.
And he's a relatively young coach in the league. So if he's pushing that, and the older guys in the league, like Pop or whoever, were cool with it too, it was never going to go back, and now it likely never will.
Probably never will.
Like now, they love a quarter zip in the NBA,
But
man.
Torts.
Love it.
Torts is trying for the NHL.
Yes,
We had
he
Danny
is.
Briere on the show, and he said he lets the coaches dress the way they want, but they have to look the same. So they're all kind of wearing
Like a uniform almost.
Yeah, it's almost like a uniform, but it's like three-quarter zip, like hoodies.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind. Like, I always felt it was weird for the coach. Why does a coach have to stand back there in a suit?
I think it's classy, though, man. I like it during the game.
I do too.
I like it during the game.
I do too.
I think the staff's got to look pretty presentable.
Professional, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
we work with Bruce Boudreau a little bit. Like, his suit, look, it's hanging on by a thread. You know, like, just,
Yeah.
there's
But what's
certain guys-
Brucey wearing if you go, Bruce, you can wear anything you want? That guy's got
wearing
a
pajamas.
tucked-in T-shirt.
And he's Belichick.
Yeah.
Cut off sleeves and the hoodie.
Well, that's the problem. Is then who takes advantage of the
That's it.
situation, right?
Because the suits are a lot of people will tell you, like, it's easier because it's you got to wear a suit.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to put any thought into it. I'm just going to get this suit, and that's what I'm wearing. I got to tie up my tie,
Yeah.
and I'm going. Where if you
Yeah.
allow for them to go anywhere, some guy could really
Yeah.
take advantage of
Well,
that.
it's interesting, right? This is like this week we just saw the Yankees relax that really old George Steinbrenner military school rule about no beards on
Right.
the Yankees.
Yeah.
So there's one team in North American pro sports that I'm aware of that has any sort of rule on grooming, and it's old Lou's rule.
Yeah, it's the Islanders, right?
The Islanders.
Yeah, Lou's
I
not
mean,
coming off that.
The
man.
last stand of Lou Lamoriello.
Yep.
But he was
And
part
they make
owner,
it
I
happen.
think, at one point of the Yankees. Like, he was
Well-
involved in that group.
And
Yes,
a lot of
he
people
was.
credited the fact that he and Steinbrenner were really good friends.
Right.
The late Steinbrenner, not the Steinbrenner.
George Steinbrenner.
George, the late George. They were good buddies and kind of had a similar look on life. And so the Yankees beard ban was, a big inspiration for Lou instituting that with the Devils, and he still carries it on. And like, do you think, Gio, that guys in this league, in the NHL, because the Yankees removed it because they were worried they weren't going to get players, right? They were worried that,
Yeah.
hey, if do I have to shave my beard is the first question a free agent asks. They're worried about that. Like, have you heard many guys say, I'm not going to the Islanders or I'm not going to Lou's team because I want to wear a beard?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard that, but like guys like Burnsy, I don't know. I guess like,
yeah, exactly.
Burnsy,
Trade
like-
for Brent Burns. he'd
Can't
be
do
like,
it, man.
I mean, for me too. Like you got to shave every day if you want to be clean shaven, right?
Twice
Some
a
of
day
us,
for you.
some of us, like,
Full-time job.
Some of us, it's not because you don't want to be clean shaven. It's just like, oh my god,
Yeah.
after a 3 a.m. road trip, you come home that you got to wake up the next morning early to shave. Like, I don't know, but I haven't heard many guys saying that. I think at the end of the day, what you do it if you have to, but. It's like I haven't seen guys. I haven't seen guys like Bogosian and Burnsy or
Yeah.
anyone like that go and play for the Islanders. So
Not
maybe
gonna
there's
work for
something
them.
to.
Keep in
Not gonna
mind,
work.
Anthony Duclair, they gave him $5 million a year. You take the $5. Like, he could have said, oh, I'm going to take less money somewhere else, or I'll cut my hair, or whatever he ended up doing. I can't remember.
I think it was
Cut off his
hair, I
dreadlocks,
believe so.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean. the
Yeah,
end of
you
the
get
day-
offered. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's a one-off. It is unique to Lou. It's not the end of the world for
Yeah.
anybody, but it is unique to them. Mark Giordano joining us here in studio. So, March 7th, trade deadline next Friday. Big day around here. Big day around the NHL. And I guess we're making this announcement on behalf of TSN. Gio, you're going to be a part of our coverage.
Yeah.
You're going to be in there that day. It's going to be a great day. We're excited. I know the whole company, everyone at TSN's jacked to have you here. Take us through what you're expecting, being a part of this for the first time.
Well, it's kind of cool to be on the other side of it, to be honest. I think even being here today, like always watching from, TV and stuff, you get a different feel for sure. You get a different feel of how everything works. But that day, I think, from what I've heard from everyone here, it'll be a little more chaotic and it's going to be cool. I just want to give a little bit of my sort of experiences and insight into like what goes on that day from maybe from a player's point of view. And, for some guys, it's really nerve wracking. For other guys, it's exciting. Some guys want to get out of Dodge, and some
Right.
guys like are nervous because they don't want to move their family. So just give my insights, and I think it'll be a fun day. And have a lot of familiar faces around here that I know, starting off with Noodles and O-Dog. So
Yep.
we'll go from there and see how it is. I just want to try it out.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Mark Giordano, again, will be a big part of our Trade deadline coverage here on TSN.
And think about it, his teammates. Like nowadays, guys find out they get traded from the insiders, from the ticker and stuff, because everything happens so quickly. That's the biggest challenge. Like if you, I'm trying to remember, like on any deadline, were you like a little nervous going, hey, or are you more just, hey, what's my team bringing in?
I remember being nervous like 1 year in Calgary when we were in the middle of a rebuild sort of, and I was like, I wasn't an older guy, but I was getting up there. I'd been there for a bunch of years, and I was like, you know what, like I might have some value to the team if I get traded. I wanted to stay there, obviously. I remember being nervous 1 year, but the year that I did get traded from Seattle to Toronto, I was excited. I'm not gonna lie. Like we were a non-playoff team. I was older. I felt like throughout my career, I never got that like that those opportunities. Like we were in a rebuild in Calgary for a bunch of years. I wanted to play in playoffs, so obviously I was excited to get traded, and then coming home was just an added bonus, right, to a great team. So there's different spectrums, right? Like some guys are really nervous. Some guys are like antsy to get out of where they are. So it all depends on your situation, I guess.
So are you calling your agent generally, or would at any point you feel like you had the ability or the comfort with a GM, like to call your GM and say, can you lay it on the line for me? What should I be expecting here?
So Ron Francis was unbelievable in Seattle, and about a month before the deadline, I think we had a meeting. We were on the road, and he said, come down for breakfast. And basically he said, Gio, where's your mind at? And I told him, honestly, I said, Ronnie, I have a lot of respect for you and the organization for naming me captain, and I felt I felt guilty about, but I said, you know what, Ronnie, I really want to play in playoffs. And he said, okay, I'm going to work on making a move. And I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later he traded me. So I have a lot of respect for him, obviously, in Seattle for that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What about, so at what point did you know it was Toronto? I mean, you get the call and it's like, or immediately it gets announced and your phone just blows up because you're coming home.
Yeah. So I had a lot of interest, I guess, from the Eastern Conference that year for some reason. I think there was a few teams kicking around, and Toronto was one of the names. And once I heard their name, I was like, okay, that'd be pretty cool, like going back home at the end and having a legit shot of playing on a contender. And actually, it was funny. I was at the rink on a day off, and I was in the steam room, and I come out of the steam room, and one of the trainers was like, Ronnie wants to talk to you. And I'm like, Ronnie? I'm like, what's he doing here? And anyways, he came down and he broke the trade to me. I didn't find out from anyone else. I found out directly from him, which was cool. And then as soon as he told me, they sort of announced it later. And the phone just goes wild for about 48 hours.
That transition into the new room, like especially with a team like the Leafs, you're from the Toronto area, you grew up loving the Leafs. You would have played in that building so many different times, but you'd been in the West your whole career.
Yeah.
What was the biggest challenge for you, like walking into a room with established veterans, good team? Everyone knows who you are. You've been in the league for so long. But what did you feel you had to do to kind of set a tone, like, all right, I'm here, I feel comfortable, I'm going to be a part of this ride?
Yeah, I think I had been in the league for long enough where I think I knew a lot of guys. Like walking into their room wasn't intimidating at all. I think it was nerve-wracking that first game. It was here in Toronto playing Jersey. Like it was nerve-wracking for sure. You want to make, I think more for me, it was like you want to make sure you make a good impression on your teammates. But I'd known Johnny for a long time. I'd known Mo for a long time. I mean, I felt like it wasn't intimidating at all in that sense, but it was intimidating in the fact that I was like, you got to come and perform there. They traded 2 second-round picks for you. You feel that little expectation for sure.
Right. Mark Giordano with us.
So at what point did you have to draw a line for Floater Central for tickets and stuff like that? I mean, like...
right away.
Like, establish, like, there's no free tickets or I can't... I mean, because... there would be people coming out of the woodwork being like, I was in grade 7 with you, and can you get me 4 behind the glass? Like, I experienced it in Alberta. I can't imagine coming to this market with how hot this ticket is. Like, what did you have to do? Just set some parameters?
You know what? It's always, it's funny because it's always, people who you would never expect to ask for a ticket, who are the ones who come out of the woodwork, and friends and family, no, they get it. They've been around you long enough. They're like, I'm not asking this guy for a $600 ticket every night. You know what I mean? But it's always the most random people, and I mean, at that point, you're just. Yeah. You either hit the decline or the ignore, and
the old flush. Nice to see you. See you later. Well, you're obviously still close. Close to the team, following the team closely as we get closer to the trade deadline. You're going to be asked this a lot, I'm sure, on March 7th. We might as well get out in front of it.
Yeah.
Do you have, an idea of what you think Brad Treliving should be attacking? Like, if you could add the perfect piece for the Leafs, do you have anything in mind?
Yeah, I was sort of like going through the roster, actually, knowing that I was coming on here today, and just looking at it, I think he'll probably look at a centerman. I think Braden Schen's names come up, and I really like Scott Lawton. I trained with him in the summer from Philly. His names come up, but I was kind of wondering, looking at the roster, just if you wouldn't take a look at like a right-handed centerman. They don't really have a righty through the middle, and that right-handed centerman sometimes gives you that big advantage in the D-zone draws on their strong side. It's sometimes as a coach you can throw out two centermen, so I don't know if he would look at that or not, but I would assume like that Butstad is a player is attractive.
Yeah, his name's out there. Yeah.
And then on D, like their D's been good. I think their goaltending's been solid. Their team game's been really solid in my opinion. But I don't know, Luke Schenn on the back end, like him and Mo gelled so well. I was looking at that one the other day too, and I was like, you almost have to look at it, right? Because they played so well together in that playoffs the one year. But they got a good thing going, I think, especially with the goaltending looking so great. I mean, I think they're playing a really good style, north-south, like harder to play against style this year, and I know Tree, knowing Tree, he'll be in on everything. Like he'll look into everything, but I think he's really aware that you don't want to, you want to tweak, but you don't want to make too many changes where it disrupts what they have going.
Mark, what's the balance? We've been talking a lot this year about the secondary scoring and the need for it. Obviously, they got it on the weekend. Marner and Matthews didn't have to do the heavy lifting. And scoring off the back end, right? They got some on the weekend. McCabe and OELs chime in with goals. They've been few and far between. They've been among, if not the last, they've been right at the bottom of the league in terms of offensive production from the D. Morgan's not having the kind of year, Morgan Riley, that he normally has. Is there like an argument to be made that playing this Berube style, the north-south style that they're trying to play, makes it tougher for the D to contribute? Or how are you viewing that?
Maybe a little bit. I think maybe not taking as much risk in your game, but I don't think too much. I think more so, like they've been running a 5-forward power play for a long time. Like as an offensive defenseman, like I was there way back in my career, but you get a lot of your points and your goals in the power play. Yeah. You really do as an offensive defenseman. So that hurts. That'll hurt a guy like Mo a bit. But yeah, they're playing way more direct, I feel like, and I feel like they're not taking the high risk. Like when they're down a goal, down 2 goals, what I'm seeing this year is they're sticking with their game. They're not starting to play run and gun and high risk and all that. And it's translating to a better team game, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's interesting with the East. Like we talk about it daily. If there's one team in particular that you're concerned about or that really kind of owns the conference, and I think Florida deserves probably that title because they won the Cup last year and they've been to the Cup final 2 years in a row.
Right.
But it doesn't appear as if there's like a top team that should terrify anyone. That's our viewpoint. Do you see it similarly, or like if you're looking at it from a Leaf perspective and looking out at who you could play in the first round, second round, third round? Is there any reason why you would be concerned, or any team in particular that might kind of shake you up a little bit?
Yeah, no, I think Carolina was a team I looked at when they got Rantanen the other week, and I was like, wow, that's a big move for them getting Taylor Hall too. I'm like, it's a pretty good team. They're looking pretty good on paper, but the Leafs have handled them pretty well this year. The other team that surprised me, and I think has surprised a lot of people, is Washington.
Right.
They're the one team that when they've played the Leafs, I feel like they've played well against Toronto, and they've outplayed Toronto in a few of the games. But yeah, like you said, it's wide open. There's no team that I think the Leafs can look at and say we're intimidated to play that team. In their division, I think obviously Florida's Florida, but Tampa's actually having a nice little run here. I think nobody's talking about them lately, but they still have that guy in net, Vasilevsky, who like.
Oh yeah.
As much as everyone wants to say, oh, he hasn't had the numbers or he hasn't had the numbers lately, like he's an intimidating goalie to play against, and the coach there is an intimidating coach. He's the one coach you're like, wow, this guy's a really good coach, line matcher, all that.
Yeah, you could feel that.
Well, and I was you're a great guy to ask about the amazing work of Ovechkin, because he's doing it at 39, goals per 60. He's on his highest rate of his career. You've been the oldest skater in this league very recently, playing past 39. I mean, when you watch this guy do what he's doing, I mean, we're talking about older athletes because we got Max Scherzer playing for the Blue Jays this year at age 40. I mean, what's the challenge? What's the biggest challenge that you found keeping it together, staying the player you are as the years move on?
It's the speed. It's the speed, for sure. I think no matter what you want to say, things come at you quicker, things happen quicker. The thing with Ovi is just like, I don't know, it looked like he was slowing down there a couple years ago, and I was like, okay, finally this is it. And it's like, it seems to me like he makes these adjustments, right? And he's made an adjustment this year again. It's like, he bombs everything at the net. He shoots everything, which is one thing, but he still finds those spots, and he gets there. And the run he's on right now is incredible. Like, I didn't see this one coming. I thought after the broken leg, it was like, okay, next year maybe, but that one could almost derail your career at that age. And
big time.
He bounced back, and
he's arguably better than ever.
He's
ever
looking
since he
great.
returned.
Like hat-trick the other night. It's kind of.
See him playing soccer. During the break, he was playing in a pro league and he was running people over. Ask Joe from the bridge. See if you can pull up that video. It was insane. I don't know if that was like a couple weeks ago, but he was literally playing soccer and a guy was trying to check him and he just mowed the guy over.
Okay, I got to find that. I've seen him do that in the offseason.
So funny.
Like he goes over to Russia and he kind of gets the Putin treatment.
He's playing a pro.
Yeah,
he does.
But they're like, don't touch this guy because if you mess with Ovechkin, you are in serious trouble.
You and your family will disappear.
There's a chance we're not going to see you again. Have you ever blocked one of his one-timers?
You know what? He's on the other side. I never played the right in my career. That's one thing I never did. I played the left. I cannot remember blocking. I'm sure if I did, I would have remembered it. But I was grateful I was on the other side a lot of the time. Tanev, I let Tanev and guys on the right side that I played with eat those ones.
Just chew on those
Oh, they just eat those ones. And the thing about Ovi is half the time he doesn't know where it's going. He just rips it, right? He's just trying to get it anywhere, hit it and anywhere on net. And if he doesn't know, you sure as hell don't know. So that's scary.
What's scary, man. Like you can't go down. Like if you go down, you may take one off the head. Anything could happen. But was there one guy in particular, I guess, on the left side that you remember like blocking a shot, or if he was winding up, you thought, I got to get out of the way here?
Not on the left side. The one guy who scared me was Sheldon Surrey.
Oh, my God.
He scared me when he had such a heavy shot, and he would always zip it high. Yeah. And I remember playing, I think he was in Dallas, and I remember playing him, and it was just like being on the PK in front of the net and him teeing him up. It was scary. Yeah. Really scary.
That would be
He went shell from the point and didn't care. Like, literally did not care.
And his own players, like, because he could hit them just as easily.
And he had no remorse. Like, if he hit a guy in the head or in the shoulder, like, he had no remorse.
Shouldn't have been standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, Chara comes to mind as a guy. But he would generally control the shot to an extent, but get it on.
Dion.
Dion. But Nuff didn't know where it was going half the time.
And he was going high a lot of the time.
He hit the glass a lot in his career.
Yeah. Did you ever play with Dion, like, as a partner, though? Or
like, one of my first games, I think it was my first game in St. Louis, I was paired with Dion. He played the right side with me, and, man, he was a treat to play with. He let me live with him, too, the first year, my first sort of full year in Calgary, and
he's a lot different public than his public perception.
100%. Right? He's like misunderstood a lot of the time. He's a great guy, and he's funny, and we had a laugh. The funniest part about Noof was in practice, Dion in practice. Like, he would get the team going. It'd be the quietest day. Guys were tired, and he would be like, let's go, and getting the coaches fired up and chirping guys. So I had a blast playing with him.
A lot of value in that, eh? Like the guy who's constantly got that energy.
Yeah, it would piss guys off a lot of the time, but I would just sit there and just laugh at him the whole practice. It was hilarious.
He's a big personality.
Big person. Yeah, I could see that. like if you're an older player and he's buzzing at 20, you're like, can you stop, please?
I saw something on Instagram the other day. There was a clip, and he was chirping Phil because Phil was walking by eating a cookie. He's like, Phil, that's your fourth cookie. Phil's like, what are you talking about? That was my first. He's like, I watched you eat 3 earlier.
Yeah.
And he just, like, that's what he was like. He would always get under your skin and chirp you, but it was kind of fun.
Always from a good place.
Yeah, it was
teammates
a good place.
And, all right, March 7th, trade deadline. Mark Giordano is going to be a big part of what we're doing here at TSN. And it's great to have you, man. We appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
We'll catch up again down the road. And what do you make it tonight? Leafs Bruins? And
It's going to be a tough game for the Leafs tonight. I think Boston's going to be really desperate. In Boston, I just looked at their home record. Their home record's actually really good. I think they were 18-9 or something. So it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be desperate. I think it's going to be close. Probably an overtime game tonight.
yeah, I think Stolarz is going tonight, too.
Well, that'd be good. I mean, at some point, you got to have. I mean, Mitch just had some success there. Austin played a good game. Like, it is a.
Back in the building.
It's a
Crazy.
fun building to play in if you play well. So Joe says he's got the Ovechkin viz.
Oh, we have the viz? Okay. Do we know when it's timestamped? Look at this guy. This is in 2022?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is in the offseason, him just barreling over people. I love that video. That's outstanding.
Like, he's a big guy.
He's
carries some weight,
massive,
too.
man.
Carrying some weight in that shot.
Yeah, that looks like it's June in Russia.
Oh, yeah.
And Ovi, maybe they went out in the first round,
Yeah.
and he's been enjoying himself.
Yeah.
All right, Mark Giordano joining us here in studio. Great seeing you, Gio. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, guys.
We'll
Thank
catch you on deadline.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
See you
There he
then.
is, Mark Giordano. Confirm or deny coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, confirm or deny. Here we go. Statements are made. We go around the table. We either confirm them or we deny them. Very simple stuff. Easy to follow along. Let's begin with an Elias Pettersson. Confirm or deny. Sure, we've done this before.
Bringing
but
the heat right away.
confirm or deny. Elias Pettersson will be a Vancouver Canuck on July 1st.
I'm confirming it.
Okay.
Now, we, for the sake of what we do for a living, wouldn't it be crazy if he was traded next week?
Oof, man.
Right? But I think the Vancouver Canucks look at a 25 or 26-year-old player who's gotten 100 points before. They just traded away JT Miller. JT.
Yes.
It's not TJ. JT Miller.
And look how he's reacted since Miller's been out. He's done nothing.
I think even if you look at it and this season gets flushed down the toilet, you're going, this still is a core piece of ours.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I look at it. Patience, off season, you're not going to have your best season, but he's a hell of a talent. We talked about it ad nauseum. He looks awful. He's not playing well, but at some point you feel like the game will get its act together. So I'm saying. Now,
Whoa.
All right.
I'm in the minority here. I'm in the minority. I know on this path.
I think I'm going to confirm it. I'll jump in.
Okay.
Or I'm going to deny it. I think they're going to flip him.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's so ugly there, and there's obviously something went down there that got ugly to the point where they were publicly admitting there's an issue between two guys.
Jimmy Rutherford didn't pull any punches.
No, and when that happens, that has the ability to hang around. And yes, they moved off Miller, but Pettersson's still there. I don't know what that relationship is like, but based on the way he's playing, the commitment, there's an owner element to this as well. I said this a few weeks ago. There's a chance the owner walks in and goes, I can't look at that anymore. Right. I just paid him more money than I've ever paid anybody in the history of the franchise. That's what the Aquilinis did. He's the highest paid player. And now, listen, they can't score, and if you get rid of him, I have no idea who's going to score there. Because if you move off Miller and Pettersson, I don't know what they're going to do.
And Besser's a pending UFA.
Besser's a UFA. There's no guarantees he's going to return. Yeah. So who is possibly going to play offense for you? But I I think it's just so ugly, and it looks so off right now, and his no movement clause kicks in on July 1st.
That's the problem.
Once that happens, you lose control if you're Vancouver.
I mean, it's really almost a no-win situation for Jim Rutherford in a lot of ways, because if you do what Noodles says and you keep him around and be patient and hope for better, well, I mean, this guy hasn't exactly paid you back for moving out the guy that apparently he could not coexist with to date. Now, maybe that'll change, but there's no sign of it changing. But if you trade him, to your point, Hayes, you're trading him at the lowest possible value.
That's
from a position of weakness where the whole league knows something's gone on here and it smells like you know what. And so how do you win that negotiation and actually come out of the Elias Pettersson situation with something tangible and valuable? You probably don't.
No.
You're just punting them.
There's a chance there's a good chance, a 98% chance that you lose the trade because the best player will go out, not coming in.
Exactly. And maybe he'll play great somewhere else where all this baggage is behind him and all the whatever is left over from the bad will that was brought into that room by that conflict is a distant memory for him, but it lingers in Vancouver, right?
Miller for Hedel.
There you go.
Miller's the better player.
Problems for problem. Yeah. There you go.
Well, and Hedel exactly is not anywhere close to the same player JT Miller is.
Exactly.
But if you had to bet him, actually, the more I think about it, I think Noodles might be onto it, because you almost have to just hold on and hope.
But that makes sense if you feel like you can overcome it, and he can as well.
Right.
He may be thinking, I got to get out of here too.
That's true.
Like, this just isn't working for me, and I don't know if it ever will.
But you run that risk, like you say, the minute the clock strikes July 2nd, now a lot of that hand is gone.
Well, everything goes through Pettersson.
Right, it runs through him.
Doesn't mean you can't move him.
No,
we all know guys have been traded
but
with
your hands are a lot more tied.
They control a lot of
with
it.
Your partners.
Who says no? Who says no? The Carolina Hurricanes call up Vancouver and say, we'll trade you Mikko Rantanen straight up for Pettersson.
Wow.
Who says no?
Not Jimmy Rutherford. That would be an absolute...
But Rantanen's not guaranteed to sign with you long term.
No.
Like, it's a rental. Pettersson for the next 3 months of Rantanen. Maybe you get to keep Rantanen long term.
Wow.
Maybe you get him in, you can give him the 8th year, and you can keep him. Who says no, Vancouver or Carolina?
I think Vancouver. Pettersson's a centerman, Rantanen's a winger. Rantanen's a winger. And it's a 3-month scenario where, okay, so Vancouver's in one. They're 1 point up on Calgary. Calgary plays in Washington tonight, I believe. Yes. They could miss the playoffs, or they could get into the playoffs and do some damage if everybody gets healthy and plays well. I still think Vancouver would say no, because they at least know what they have with Pettersson. Yes, right now it's ugly. Rantanen could get to Vancouver and play the way that he's playing in Carolina.
Yeah.
And going, geez, it's not a fit. I think Rantanen is still shell-shocked. I think that trade caught him off guard. And although his best friend, Sebastian Aho, is on that team, it's a different style. Everything doesn't run through him. You don't have Makar and McKinnon passing you the puck.
That's the biggest thing.
That's a big thing.
Aho's a good player.
He's not
Nathan McKinnon.
He's not either one of those two. So there's an adjustment, and it might take him months to adjust in Carolina. And if you do it again, it might just wash his season.
Yeah.
So I'm saying Vancouver says no. Carolina probably says yes.
Because by all accounts, they were in on Pettersson, or at least kicking tires on the idea of bringing him in.
I mean, obviously, look, let's not jump to conclusions on Carolina. They were obviously confident they could convince Rantanen to
and they
sign
still
there.
might.
They got plenty of time to do.
They still might.
Plenty of time to do it. Now, obviously, if you're Jim Rutherford, it would be great to get a player of that quality with the assurance that he might be interested in staying in your town for more than 3 months.
That's the thing.
That's the
Get
big.
out in
That's
front
the
of
big.
it. I know he doesn't play center, but Rantanen's one hell of a hockey player.
That's what I mean. That would be my thing. Is like, it's going to be so hard to emerge with anything resembling that kind of a talent from a Pettersson trade at this point, right?
Right.
And then it comes back to your philosophy. Pettersson's 11-6 goes out. Rantanen, what is he at? 9. We'll call it 9 right now.
Yeah.
Less than that, because Colorado
chewed
a lot of money.
And then UFA, you've got cap space. If he decides not to sign with you. So you're using the leverage, or you're using the cap space as the equity that you got back technically for Pettersson. I just we don't know the nature of the problem out there. That's the thing. If JT Miller was the problem, if Pettersson was the problem, a combination of both, they might say, hey, we'll take the Rantanen for 3 months, and we're just going to reset anyway.
Yeah, if we walk up everything, be it.
If Rantanen walks, then... But at the end of the day, maybe it's just me and I'm being bullish on him. I mean,
Pettersson's shown he can do it. He's a hell of a player when he's rocking and he's playing well. He's a hell of a player. All right, confirm or deny. Let me move past this second one, Joe from the Bridge. I'm going to move past the award one. I want to get to this because it sounds like my Green Bay Packers, have presented the idea of banning the tush push. They have formally put out a request to at least review the idea of the NFL trying to banish the tush push, which has become famous by the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Confirm or deny the tush push should be banned by the NFL?
Well, this is a big deny. This is the ultimate deny. And you know what this also is? This is an embarrassment to the franchise that you love, Mr. Hayes.
Yeah, they can't stop him, man. They've always had an issue stopping the run.
This is a stain on the franchise that gave us Vince Lombardi and the frozen tundra and all those great football traditions. This is just sore loser stuff.
Well, they just got pumped in Philly.
They got killed by the Eagles, and now they're saying, oh, that's not fair what they do. When they get behind that quarterback and they make it impossible to stop them in short yardage situations because they're very good at it. But guess what? They're the only team that's good at it. If it was an NFL-wide given that every time there's a 4th and 1, every team could just line it behind their quarterback and push him over the line, and therefore 4th and 1 became irrelevant, maybe I would think about, you know what, that doesn't really help football. But these guys have specialized in it, Noodles. Like they've perfected a play that is essentially unstoppable, and now everybody's mad about it because they're the only ones that can do it.
Well, is Mahomes good at the tush push?
No,
Buffalo was very good at it. Did it a fair amount of times until they didn't, and they got stopped.
But Allen is
famously
a beast.
4th and 1,
and it got Kansas City to the Super Bowl.
Yes. Now I think they may have gotten the first down if they had the proper technology, but still, they didn't get it. They didn't get the call, and.
You have to have a certain type of quarterback who's a mutant to push him through and be able to absorb contact.
Right.
Hurts is that guy.
And an offensive line, though, that can do it as well. You need a center that basically drops.
Right.
Like, that's what it is.
Okay, to ban a play, I still think that's weird.
Yes.
And it's situational. Like, it's reactional and situational going, okay, they won because of that, so let's ban it and see, like, I just think that would be weird. Like is that 3 in the key in basketball?
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's become a play that works for some and not works for the other. So they're like, well, we can't have that. That's a mismatch or disadvantage. To me, get a quarterback that you can tush push and join him.
Now I do wonder if it is the Packers stepping up here representing other teams that weren't willing to do it publicly.
They were trying to do it privately.
Well, or yes, they were. And eventually, it was reported on. I believe Diana Rossini saying there was a Packers. Sources indicate the Packers put it forward. But someone's got to put every possible rule change or alteration out there. Someone's got to be like the sole team that presents it, and then everyone else responds to it. But there could be an element of the NFL trying to be proactive here before it does spread to 32 teams. Because it is so effective and so predictable, which I don't think being predictable is necessarily great for sports.
Right.
Like every team can, if it turns into a 4-down league all the time, where all you got to do is get within a yard, you're moving the chains, and effectively that's what's happening. It's entertainment in the end. Like the shift in baseball is it's not quite the same, but eventually baseball said this isn't good for our product.
But Hayes, I agree with you on that, but there's no indication that all 32 teams are anywhere close to being able to do this.
Valid.
In fact, there's only one. There's one team that's good at it.
Well, the Bills, again, they did it a fair amount of times.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I know the last time they tried it got hit.
2 out of 30.
I get it.
All right.
I get it. But it's only been in the league for like 2 years. Like, it's not. It hasn't been around.
Yeah, but it's a
since
copycat league. If every team could do it and implement it, they would have done it by now.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly.
Maybe it's something to keep your eye on, because if teams start to adjust to it, a year from now you have that conversation and go, man, there's 12 teams that are doing it now that are really good at it.
Right.
Like, right now you're saying 2. There's probably a few more that
there's other teams that have tried it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying there's one team that is by far and away
mastered it,
turned it into a weapon.
But if it becomes watered down to the point where what you just said, every 4th down, just tush push and away we go.
Right.
then that's where the rule you have to look at it and go, okay, let's try and make that illegal so we can have some more excitement.
Well, and it's, again, you can still, like, quarterback sneak it. It's about the formation that makes it the tush push. Like, the way that they form it, the way that they push the quarterback forward. There is a player safety element to it, one that I'm not overly, familiar with exactly what the league could be thinking of, but they have completely altered the kicking game because of player health and safety. And I think there could be some concern that is what is going to happen here, where we saw it in the playoffs as well. I think it was Washington. And when it's on the 1 yard line, these teams are like, we're just going to sell out and sell out and sell out and sell out. And it got kind of embarrassing and goofy. Remember, the refs had to step in and say, if you do it again and you jump the line, it's just a touchdown. But that's what these teams are doing. Like, if you have a play that is basically 100% successful, it's a cheat code. Credit to Philly for figuring it out, and they've applied it.
Right.
But I'm not surprised the league is going to look at that and say that's not good for the entertainment product, and it might have an issue in terms of health and safety. If you have linemen diving towards knees and on the bottom of piles and
somebody's
stuff,
going to get snapped in half.
It's a very unique play.
Wow.
Like, it's an incredibly unique play that's very effective, and it's worked. And Philly would be the one that would take the brunt of the pain here because they've created it and they've benefited greatly from it. They just won a Super Bowl, not just because of that, clearly. But it is a very unique play that you can police. You're not saying we shouldn't have running backs who can, cut left, or you can't have anyone run go routes anymore because of this, that, or the other. It's specifically a formation thing that you could eradicate from the game.
It's just like no hands on the quarterback's butt, guys. That's basically it.
Right, but let me ask you this. You guys are big football fans. Dave, you covered it forever. If they got rid of the tush push, would that affect you at all in terms of your viewing experience? Like, if they ban it, so then what does it even matter?
Well, no, but to me, it's the spirit of competition here. These guys have figured something out.
Doesn't mean they're wrong.
Why should they be punished for being ingenious and smart and really good at something that is, as you point out, a cheat code? Like, I don't think you should punish a team that's ahead of the curve. Why would you do that to them? Like that's a bunch of sore losers sitting there making up excuses for why they don't want the Philadelphia Eagles to dominate the line on 4th and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Well, that is effectively what it is. But there's just, I think the league, the defenses are saying, with the way the rules set up and the way that things are set up, we can't stop it.
Yeah.
Like, we don't. How do you tell me how to stop it within the rules of football?
That's because of the athletes.
You're making a compelling argument, to be honest, about it, because if it's 100%, non-stoppable, then it's. If you're a defense, they're going to try and figure out and go, okay, well, this is going to happen. I'm going to go and hurt somebody in there. I'm going to go and do something. You want to do this to me? I'm going to take my pound of flesh. I'm going to do something. If you're on the defensive side, because you're going to get scored on anyways. So I still think you should keep it in there and see if teams try to do it, more teams. But I don't think it happens in this offseason.
Yeah, well, maybe not. And now it's been presented, and I don't know. I do. Don't get me wrong. It is coming from a position of defeat by these other teams. They're like, what are we supposed to do? We can't stop it. Credit to you. But again, from an entertainment standpoint, I don't, unless you're an Eagle fan, it's the greatest play ever created.
Right.
If you're the other teams and the other fans, I don't think it brings entertainment value. Yeah. And if it were to be eradicated from the game,
because your team's losing.
But yes,
that's not.
But not just my team. Not just my team.
Oh, I know. But the other
every team that plays them cannot stop
so
it.
It would almost be termed as like an illegal formation.
Well, that's exactly. It would be so easy to eradicate,
right? So it's just illegal formation.
Yeah, you can't set up that way,
right? So they would just have to adjust.
Because the tush push is literally guys from the back are pushing the quarterback over the line.
The interesting part,
the line dives down, and then it just creates chaos at the line where the defense is halted because they can't go over, and then they just get pushed over the line.
The interesting thing will be the adjustment, because as you know, coaches and management and players, they're always looking for the new thing. Okay, can't do that. Okay, we're going to do something else.
Right.
That's what would be interesting for me, is what is the adjustment off of that?
Yeah, and I'm sure, hey, I got news for you. Jalen Hurts is a big part of this. Like he's a powerful athlete, a huge body.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I think he'd be pretty good at just sneaking it on his own without the tush push, too. Like, he'd be a hell of a weapon doing that.
For sure. And that's the way the game existed, for 40 years prior to this.
as is Josh Allen, and all these big, good athlete quarterbacks that can stand up to the linemen and go right through them.
Yeah.
Now that's the injury that will change it for Philly. Is
Right.
if Hurts gets hurt doing it. If he gets pushed and gets hit in somewhere, and someone says, "Screw it, I'm coming through," and he takes something off the head.
Yeah.
Which he did
Well,
get
they're trying.
concussed late. Exactly.
They're trying.
That's where it gets a little bit scary if you're Philly, because
Yeah.
the league could say, listen, all right, you want to keep it in, go ahead.
Yeah.
But my guys are coming for you. Like, my guys are, and they're
time
coming
it
for
right, though.
number 2. That's who they're coming for.
Yeah.
They're coming for your quarterback.
Yeah.
Good luck. They haven't got him yet.
They haven't got him yet. All right, there you go. Confirm or deny. More on the Leafs in action tonight. Raptors in action. Luka and the Lakers at home against the Mavs as well, and our best bet still to come. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, we sent Al's brother out into the city with a pair of Leaf tickets. You have to guess where he's hiding for your chance to win them. Let's hear Tuesday's clue from Al's brother.
Hey, Overdrive fans, it's Tuesday, and it's time for one more clue to get you one step closer to those Leafs and Panthers tickets for March 13th. Here is your Tuesday clue. Now, I'm not much of a thrift shopper myself. I'm more of a click and ship kind of guy. That being said, I might check out some of the great vintage shops in this area while I'm down here this week.
Look at Al's brother. Very sneaky clue. Very sneaky. Tune in tomorrow for another clue. And the first caller through on Friday with the correct location wins a pair of tickets to see the Leafs play the Panthers March 13th. Find Al's brother is brought to you by McAlpine Ford in Aurora. Our family, the Ford family, and you. All right, Jack Armstrong on the Raptors and Luka playing the Mavs tonight, and Carlo Koliakovo in studio. Carlo coming up to start next hour. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050, soon to be up on TSN 2.